Hey there, it's Katie Jarvis with Managing the Mess. If we haven't met before, I'm a K through 6 elementary art teacher, and I teach here at a Title I school just outside of Washington, D.C. In this video, we're going to talk all about tables and chairs and stools and seating charts. I do believe in giving the students assigned seats, and I have a seating chart of where they sit, and I do this before the first day of school. I arrange the students in a boy, girl pattern. I try to divide them up evenly among the tables. Reason being is I have helper tables, so I don't want a table that just has 2 students. If I can avoid it, I try to make the numbers as even as possible. In your room, I know it's kind of tough, but I try to seat the students so that they can see the board. I do have seats at every table where a student would have to turn around to see the board. So when I'm doing my seating, I try to use those seats last, and I only use them if I have so many students that I have to. It's very common in elementary rooms to label individual tables. The reason is you're often referring to the tables when you are communicating. You might say table number 1, less talking and more working, please. Or green table, you are the helpers today. Can you please start by passing out the papers? Or if you're seated at the Andy Warhol table, can you please push your chairs in and proceed to line up? It's something that you want to have set up in your art room before the first day. And there's a variety of ways that you can label your tables. One way that's really common is to have table caddies. So if this is the red table, the red caddy just lives here all year on that table. It's typically a plastic container because they're a little bit more durable. And often art teachers will keep everyday supplies in here, things such as pencils, erasers, crayons, and glue sticks. This is not a system that I use in my art room. I don't want my students playing with the materials. I don't want these materials to be damaged. I use a system which is more of an art buffet system. So they are turning supplies back into a central location, and then I'm able to check that the supplies are returned and that they are being cared for. If you're a little bit curious about how that art buffet system works, I share more about that in my video that I recently made about students misusing and damaging supplies. I'll be sure to link that in the description down below. A way that I've seen teachers label tables that I found was to be really successful is that they either spray painted the edges of the table, or they actually spray painted the surface of the table. Now, when they did the surface, they used a stencil, and they did like a circle spot on each of the tables. So there would be a circle at the red table, at the purple table, at the blue table, at the pink table. And that way they could use this as a management tool. They could say that those people were the table captains. They go up and get supplies for that table, or maybe they clean up for that table and they're the only people that can move around. There's a lot of different ways to use it. Some teachers use like a Cricut machine, stickers, colored duct tape to do some different labeling of the tables and chairs. Doing that, you got to watch, because students love to pick at things. You don't want something that's going to be tempting for them to touch. It's no fun to constantly be correcting them and redirecting their behavior. And in the middle of a busy school year, you don't want to have to replace and upkeep your labeling system. You want something that you can just set it and forget it. A system that I used in the past that really worked well for me is I hung mobiles over each table. Now, they had double-sided artwork and then the name of an artist. This worked great, but depending upon the school district that you work for, you need to be considering what the rules are from the fire marshal. In my current district, we are not allowed to hang anything from the ceiling, so that idea is out. I went to using table colors, and I decided when I saw teachers using the tennis balls that I wanted something more fun and colorful, so I got felt. And what these are is I call them chair socks. It is felt that is doubled over. There is a piece of felt inside that reinforces it. It's tied on there with a zip tie. I have all the directions for you in a video called Chair Socks. Again, description down below. That's where you're going to find all the great info. I love these because they eliminate that screeching chair sound. It doesn't scratch my floor from students moving the chairs around. It also absorbs a lot of of sound in my room. I think in art rooms, because of the big tables and the cabinets and the floors, a lot of noise is just kind of bouncing around. So this does help to make my room a little bit quieter. Now, for function, you would not need to make yours this big if you wanted to try this idea. Mine are a little bit on the larger side. I like the look of them. I think they kind of look like fun little lollipops. I do replace them at the end of every year. We're at the end of the school year right now when I'm recording this for you. So this is as gross as they get, but I do change them out and start with fresh ones again in the next school year. Another way that I label my tables is I have dry erase circles on the tops of my stools. Other teachers have painted this here. You could also use a stencil or markers and have numbers or colors on the tops of your stools. I adhered mine. This is a sticker, and I put Gorilla Glue to kind of reinforce it, and then Mod Podged around the edges to eliminate, the whole picking of things. It wasn't 100% perfect. I'm still kind of tweaking it a little bit, so look for some updated directions from me. My next thing I'm going to try is Gorilla Glue spray, just something to get the glue a little bit thinner on that initial application. Definitely have to Mod Podge if you're doing this idea, or those edges will come up. I get a lot of questions on whether I like the stools and the tables that I have. I do. The tables are not perfect. They are a little bit wobbly, but I think anything is, because for school furniture, you're constantly every summer carrying things out of the art rooms. You can clean and wax the floors. You've got students sitting at them every single day. The custodians are able to tighten them a little bit. And I think that they hold up pretty well, these tables that I have. The stools are even better. They're from the National Public Seating Company, which I think is a common company that a lot of people get school furniture from. This size of stool really does work out great. It's a little bit tricky for kindergarten. No matter what grade you teach, I would definitely teach your students the first week of school how they should be sitting in the stools. Now, for me, I teach my rules by making a video where I am a student and I show what not to do and what you should do. And they find this hilarious. I've got a whole video that kind of breaks that down. In the stool portion of the video, what I do is I show them and give it names. So I say, we don't sit like a grandma. So we're not sitting in the stools, rocking back and forth. I also say that we're not a surfer. So they're not standing up on the chairs and, doing this whole balancing act. We say that you're not a baby. So you're not sitting up here, kind of tucked up like a little rabbit, balancing on the top of the chair. We show then what to do, that you're sitting on your bottom, that it's really most comfortable if you pick your feet up and put them on the bottom edge of the stool there. They also have the option, and we discussed this, of pushing in the stool and standing up while they work. So you'll want to teach that the very first day of school. After I show that video, the first class, in the following few classes, I have a picture of me doing the grandma, doing the surfer, doing the baby set with like an X, a little frowny face, and then showing the right thing. And I just quickly refer to that right at the beginning of the class to set those high expectations. So I'm going really slowly at first with teaching how to sit in these stools and reviewing it each and every week. Eventually, I'm weaning off of that. I might remind them again when we come back from winter break, or when we come back from spring break, or have a couple snow days and you think things are falling out of their brain. We might review that again very quickly at the beginning. But week to week, I'm not giving a lot of corrections to my students because I've really set this as the expectation early on. I'm a huge fan of assigned seats in the art room because I just think it brings a calm, a sense of organization and order. As students are coming in, if mine didn't have assigned seats, I could just imagine them running in, sliding in, pushing people, arguing about who was sitting in the seat first, excluding other people, and having them sit alone. So for me, it's just nice that there is an expectation that they're going to come in and they're going to sit down in the same spot the entire school year. I think this is great too because I'm starting with a lot of structure, that they have this assigned seats. We can go to a spot, where we're moving and having some incentives that they get to sit where they want. But I've got that leverage that I can always send them back to that home seat. I have quite a few opportunities throughout the year when they can move around the room, One of them being that when we do glazing, I set my glazing up as centers. I have a video that kind of breaks this down, but the purple glaze is at the purple table. The blue glaze is at the blue table. So they're moving around with their art project. When we do printmaking, I do centers, so students have the opportunity to move around then. When we have ketchup and pickle day at the end of the quarter, a day when they are finishing up their work and then they get to pick and choose what they want to do. On that day, they get to sit with friends. And I offer incentives, especially when we get closer to the end of the year. We've been busy doing yarn weaving, and each and every week we've been measuring and tracking our progress, and we set goals. And we get to a certain point, like if you're to the point where you now have 6 inches on your weaving, guess what? Today is the day we've been talking about. Today you get to choose where you want to sit. I have a patio outside of my art room. Sometimes students can work outside, or they can work on the carpet, or work near a friend. Students maybe that don't have that 6 inches done, they have to sit with me at a certain table so they can get a little bit more support and help. So you can really use it as something that they can work towards, and an incentive to get those seats of their choice. Now, when I'm setting up my seating chart, I put it on a piece of paper and I color code it, and then I just copy it on the color copier. I tape them down to a plastic folder. I did this for different colors for different grade levels, so it's really easy to find. I label it with the teacher's name for the homeroom, of course, and then I write the student's name in on each little seat number with pencil, but you could also do this in pen. There are these awesome friction pens that are erasable. They're so smooth. They erase so easily. I use them for my plan book, but you could definitely use them for your seating chart as well. I really love this. I had before put a bunch of squares on here. So I used to keep track of their daily effort grade on here. So if they got something that was less than a 4, which is the highest grade that we give, I would write that down on the chart. I would also, back when I did like an incentive where there was like a mystery artist, I would put like a little highlighter on the week that they got to be it, so I could see that everybody had gotten a chance. But for management, it's just come to be too much. With busy schedules this year, I really didn't keep up with this very well. And what I did like a lot better was inside the folder. So inside the folder, I've always had a log of behaviors. So if there's a problem where I'm giving students more than one warning about something, I make myself log it down. And this way, when I go to do my progress reports, I can kind of look, and when I see a name that's being repeated a lot, I know that that's a grade that needs to get lowered. Inside this little folder, I also keep that week's art support report. So this is a communication tool that I use with the teacher. And I will note anyone that had any trouble with the rules. Did someone lose a tooth? Did someone leave early? Just like any of those needs to know. Was there a little argument about something, or inappropriate language, or whatever's happening. But I also let the classroom teacher know, what did I do as the art teacher? So it's really a great communication tool. It helps them if a parent reaches out. It helps them so that they know when you're going to be contacting a parent, so they know it's taken care of. And it's just a great little tool that I use. It is available over on my Teachers Pay Teachers if you're interested. Another really upside of having a seating chart is it helps to learn your students' names. So typically at the back of these seating chart folders, in that back pocket there, this is where I would put the students' mailing labels. So this is labels that I use for their artwork. They don't write their name on the artwork. Every time that they do some artwork, we put a name tag on that artwork. It has their seat number, it has their name, and it has their homeroom teacher. There are a million reasons why I love this system. Things are ready and labeled for art shows. It's neat and easy to read. And the seat numbers help so much with organization. The seat numbers are underneath my tables. They are these little paintbrush cutouts that I found on Amazon, and I added numbers. I laminated them with some really thick lamination, and then I used book tape and taped them to the legs of my table. So it's in a spot where students can see it and refer to it, but they're not really thinking about it. They're not touching it and picking it, drawing on it, all of those things on the daily. Now, I use these numbers for where we line up. So we line up on these little vinyl numbers. Again, Amazon. Put these on the floor. They last all school year. I actually have to, we remove them at the end of the school year just with a scraper so that they can wax the floors, but they are still really in great shape, and I wouldn't need to do that if they weren't cleaning and waxing the floors over the summer. These are awesome. So I have a silent dismissal system in my art room where I will hold up color of table, and the purple table just pushes their stools in and they silently walk to the line. But they're not pushing and shoving and trying to get in first place, second place. They're going right to their art number, okay? Just takes out all the drama and all the chaos and pushing and shoving of lining up, because these are evenly spaced on my floor. Once they get into the line, we start playing a game. Again, there's a whole video about lining up. You definitely want to check that one out. The numbers work really well for sorting the artwork. So if we are putting paintings on the drying rack, they dry, the next day I'm taking them off. I put them away in number order. Then the next week, when the 5th graders come in to paint, I can pass them out, just put them in that number order. The seats are in that same order, pass them out super quick, and they are ready to go. I can do this in under 30 seconds to pass out all of the artwork. In the past, without this system, I think I would be calling out names. Some people would be rushing to their seats and starting to work. I'd still be calling out names. You have no name papers. The labeling system just kind of eliminates all of that. It helps me to put them in order so that I can grade them very quickly. And it's overall just one of those things I'm really glad I did. I sure hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope you'll watch this video next.